Well, hello, Soul Bridge Tribe. I hope we're all having a great day today. I am. It's been really sunny, it's December, and it's really cold. So I just wanted to let you know what it is that I'm doing in December as far as my garden, what am I planning, and what it takes to grow your own organic food. Okay, so first of all, let's talk about why you grow organic food. And organic doesn't mean just of the dirt, because some people say it means it's of the earth, but then you can have some pretty filthy earth. And so we need to discuss a little bit about what constitutes organic and why organic food is good. So first of all, it benefits your personal health. And that will be in a lot of ways because the nutrients are more dense in organic foods, and there's nothing like growing your own squash or growing your own cucumber and picking it off the vine. And I love picking fresh lemons and fresh tomatoes. And I had quite the squash growing last year. So it's always really fun to see what's going to grow and knowing what comes up, what my environment can sustain. It's beneficial to my personal health because, well, I'm making it myself. And there's something to be said for doing it yourself. I should get into Carillion photography. Sometimes you can see the aura around objects. You can actually Google that yourself, and you will see that the aura around organic vegetables is bigger than the ones around non-organic vegetables because the plants themselves are happier, and that shows up as their aura. You can see the vibration is higher in organic plants, and they just feel more special. They feel like they're contributors in their little plant ways. The environment. What are we doing for the environment? There's so much that can be said about the environment. Reduced exposure to harmful chemicals, because I'm not spraying stuff on my plants. Instead, what I do is surround them with hay that I take from my quail coop, and take all the doo-doo hay and put it around the vegetables, and a little bit of a exercise trying to get over the top of the hay and find where the plants are. Gives the plants a chance to grow up. And I also use screens and greenhouses and different ways to try and make barriers for the bugs. Improve soil health. Well, there's a couple of things I can say as far as that, because I am rotating things in the yard. If I cut the grass, I put it in the flowers. If I'm changing out the hay in the quail, I put that in the flowers or the vegetables. And so I am creating more topsoil and more shade and more water retention, and also I'm rotating all of the nutrients that's coming from the quail poo and putting that into the vegetables. So improve soil health, yes, for sure. Support for biodiversity. When I have all the plants and flowers going on in my yard, I'm attracting butterflies, birds, hummingbirds. I see a lot more kinds of animals coming to visit the yard, and I love sitting outside and seeing all the birds. So residues on food, including glyphosate, is a big problem that you have if you go get store produce, because the people who are doing it are using synthetic pesticides and herbicides, fungicides. They do leave toxic residues, so you can wash that off. But you have to ask yourself why the USDA would pass these kinds of things when they say that it's okay, it's not dangerous to us, and what actually constitutes the definition of danger. So here I have a note about supporting your microbiome. Your microbiome is plants and animals. They are tiny little microbes that are on the surface of your skin, the surface of your eyes, all over your hands, all over your skin. And your skin is everything that's external and internal. So down your mouth, down into all your organs, down into the small intestine, the large intestine. There's microbiome all in there, especially when it comes to digestion. The microbiome has a huge part in not only your immune system, but in food digestion and breaking it down. And those are supported by eating organic food, stuff that they'll help them to get their nutrients too. And when we're looking at residue on food like glyphosate, pesticides and herbicides harm the microbiome. They say, well, it only kills plants or whatever. Those are plants. The microbiome is plants and little animals. So you can mess up your microbiome, which means messing up your immune system. So GMO crops are a big deal now. I've seen crosses like tomatoes that are hybridized and crossed with latex plants, like latex tomatoes. So I got an allergic reaction to a tomato and wondered why, because I'm allergic to latex. That is a thing. Then I saw cabbages that were being crossed with scorpion. They're creating resistant crops. Do you want to eat scorpion venom? Don't think so. So GMO crops are scary. Those white corns that they have now, the white corn crop is GMO, and I guess that has Roundup Ready crops that the crop already doesn't let weeds go around it because it is filled with poisons that are part of its own genetically modified organisms is what GMO is. So it has been genetically modified for Roundup weed killer to be part of its genetic makeup. So we're automatically hurting our microbiome by eating GMO crops because they already have the glyphosate or the poison or whatever is part of its own synthesis now. Okay, synthetic hormones cost a lot of money and farmers have to buy those. So a lot of farmers would like to go back to organic, but you tell me, why does something that doesn't have synthetic stuff all over it cost more than the stuff that does? So the farmers are kind of at their wits' end because they're almost being forced to produce GMO crops or these synthetically pesticides and herbicides and fungicides on them. So as far as no synthetic hormones, using natural methods like composting, using manure, using crop rotation, it enhances the soil's organic matter. And as I said, when I cut the grass, I throw it in there. When I rotate out the hay that I put in with chickens or quail, I put that on the vegetables too. And it does break down. Takes a little while. You can actually, stir it in. But for a no-till garden, you basically just pile it on top and, cover over the stuff that you don't want there, or just pull it and throw it and let it become part of the compost. Anyway, supporting pollinators and wildlife, I actually talked about that because not only is it safer for the animals that are visiting your garden if you didn't put those stuff, especially bees, it is not toxic to them. So when the flowers or the vegetables go into bloom, the bees that are pollinating them are not harmed by these crops. And we're really concerned now that Monsanto and their crops are creating the pesticides that are creating the bee shortage because the bees are being killed by toxic pesticides. So organic farms create havens for beneficial insects, birds, and other wildlife. Here's another reason to go organic, knowing what's in your food. Growing your own organic food gives you complete control and transparency over the entire process from the time you seed it to the time it comes inside and you make it for dinner. To me, that's awesome. Knowing where my food comes from. It's not like I don't still shop for food. I still have to because it takes a while to grow vegetables, and so for me, there's no way I have enough land right now that I could be growing my own. And I also don't have the climate to grow every type of crop. But I try. I'm trying to be a little bit more focused on and cognizant of what is in my food and where my food is coming from. And of course, they like to say that if you had enough land to grow your own vegetables, there might be a cost savings. But we know that there is a time investment. It takes a lot of water. It takes a lot of overseeing it. And so do we grow it to save money? Maybe yes, maybe no. Do we grow it for exercise? Yes, it gets me outside all the time, into the sunlight, helps with my circadian rhythm, helps with my vitamin D, which you only get from sun exposure. It helps me with physical exercise, so bending, kneeling, lifting, carrying. And there's just the joy of being exposed to sunlight and air and having the fresh air, getting myself out there looking at stuff, appreciation. And remember from an earlier lesson I talked about how looking at nature is a form of meditation. So there are psychological and spiritual implications to gardening and farming also, because you are at one with nature and you are connecting to the food source, the animals, the plants, to nature itself. to that great spirit, that great beauty that's out there in nature. So I have been giving you a little tour of my garden as we talk, just kind of checking things out, letting you see what I've got going. It's the middle of winter right now, but you can see me throwing the stuff, covering the crops, kind of getting everything ready for when spring comes along. So right now, throwing the hay out and letting it break down is preparation for spring garden, and also it's protection of the plants that are out here wintering over. Alright, so I hope this was helpful, and I hope you can plant something or another, because the joy of watching things grow up and turn into something useful is a wonderful feeling. And please put in the comments your feelings about organic gardening and what it is that you grow the best. And please continue to like, subscribe, and share. I'm growing my Soulbridge community. That's you guys. And I wish you a great day, and we'll see you again.